Welcome to the RPA Balanced Scorecard webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here to discuss industrializing and tracking your enterprise automation program. We are joined by experts in the space. Welcome Sairam Iyer and Abhishek Kamana. They are here to present for you. Thank you for joining us and participating. You can join the conversation on Twitter at #RPA Balanced Scorecard. Session will be available on demand afterwards and on the EdgeVerve channel. And you can follow us at EdgeVerve at Edge_Verve. So, gentlemen, discuss this agenda. We've got a lot in store.
Thank you, Seth. Thanks for the introduction. This is Sairam here from EdgeVerve. We do have an interesting agenda in front of you to discuss the RPA Balanced Scorecard framework. Some of the things that we want to highlight as part of the overall agenda is what was our motivation? What drove us in the first place to do something like this? Do an RPA Balanced Scorecard, create a framework in the first place. So we want to highlight some of those motivations here. What did we hear from the market? What did we hear from our clients from those challenges, and what really brought us here? Then we also want to highlight how this is applicable to enterprises, whether they are large enterprises, whether they are small and medium businesses, how this is applicable across the overall number of enterprises as well as their size or their domain that they operate in. We also want to highlight what this framework means, the nuts and bolts of it. How does it look like? What are those key KPIs that we have thought about? We'll go into this framework and how they actually improve your overall business outcome. And at the end of it, we want to tie it back to what do you get out of this balanced scorecard, how it will help you in your business, and how it helps you to cover all your perspectives, which we will talk about more in detail. So covering this, we just want to highlight, right, how this is applicable to multiple organizations, whatever their size. So just want to take your feel on this, Abhishek. What do you feel is the current state of RPA itself? How do you see the market evolving?
Yeah, myself, Abhishek, thanks for joining. And as you covered the agenda, and in the last 8 years, RPA has been a buzzword. And especially in the last 3 years, enterprises across the geography have started adopting and actually reaping the benefits of this technology. Everyone started realizing that this is a strategic tool with a huge potential. We can clearly see some of the data resonating with this point. We can see that there are nearly 45% of the enterprise process. It can range from your IT services. It could be your business support processes, your procurement processes. There are nearly half of these processes which are standard and repetitive, which throws a huge potential for automation and one of the tools at your disposal to reach and deliver solutions in a quick, timely sense. We can also see that in the last 1 year, there is the demand for the bots, the newer bots that have been in production, the new virtual workforce that has been in production has grown 3 times the volume compared to the last year. We ourselves, Sairam, with Assistage, we have seen a huge demand from our customers where our existing customers are scaling up with more and more bots in both attended and unattended automation. These show a promising technology that RPA can be, and that there's a huge potential. We can also see that it will at least take 1 to 2 years for an organization to successfully industrialize the solution. But saying all these good things, I really also cautious seeing some of the experiences where 30% of the enterprises are still facing challenges. They are not able to move from doing a proof of concept to scaling up. They are not able to get the benefits as they planned in their business case. And one more metric that I want to highlight is the runtime costs are somewhere near 2.5 times to 3 times the license cost, which really throws that there are some challenges and problems lying in managing and running this, latest RPA program. What are some of the challenges that you have come across, Sairam, in your experience?
You're absolutely spot on, Abhishek. There are challenges, and the more you look at it, the way that the RPA, the paradigm shift that has happened recently, right? Along with any new technology comes along with it, a new set of risks, a new set of governance that you need to put in place, because the amount of challenges that you start facing are things which are unique, things which are new to you, new to your business, new to your. So just want to call out a few, over here, which we have personally faced. Personally, I have worked while working with customers. We've seen this live in action. For one of the large insurance organizations that we work with, the challenge that they faced was that they had a very successful POC. We did a very nice proof of concept, things were working fine and everybody was really happy about it. But then it really didn't go anywhere because they were really not able to gather more steam within the organization. They were not able to find the right champions within the organization to scale it up. There were challenges in really highlighting the benefits from the POC itself. How there was an overall challenge of internal selling was nearly not happening there because people were not really understanding how this will benefit my unit. So although one of the business units was very successful with the POC, they were really not able to scale as per their requirement. So another unique challenge that I really found out while working with another customer was they had a very successful business case when they looked at it on the paper. On the paper it looked amazing. When the rubber hit the road, when the actual deployment started and when people started working on the project, it's when they realized how the process is complicated, how the technology itself does not support the newer automation platform, how the technology skills of the people the client side doesn't really help the overall project itself. So there can be this plethora of challenges that people could face, which can really throw the RPA program off put. And I'm sure there are some change and people-related stuff as well, Abhishek.
Yeah. In the similar lines, if I go to the far end of the spectrum, moving away from the technology to the usage of the technology, with one of the customers, we were able to deploy the solution as planned according to the use cases that we were able to shortlist. But the problem that we didn't anticipate is the adoption. We had a mixed response from the users. We've seen users who were very comfortable using automation and were able to enjoy the benefits of it. But on the other end of the spectrum, we have users who are not comfortable, who are not equally trained as much as the champions. We had a mixed response, which has thrown us a couple of challenges that how do we train, how do we drive this change management so that the usage and the adoption of the automation is delivered successfully. Because at the end of the day, the technology will not be the end point, but reaping the benefits out of it, which is the employees using it and actually delivering the benefits. We really see the plethora of challenges, as you say. But Sairam, what do we see? I mean, when we explore all these challenges, what is the themes that we see in these challenges? What could be the source point and what could be the impact of these challenges?
Yeah. So the more we look at these, challenges when we look at it one by one, I think there is definitely a pattern that emerges there, right? And when we kind of did some more root cause analysis for finding out these challenges, it really falls into multiple themes. And that's what we try to do, kind of do a root cause analysis for each of those symptoms that people have said that there are challenges around this. We try to go about finding reasons for it. And once we started finding out the reasons, we then peg them back into emerging themes. So what you see right now is the set of themes that we believe, unless you govern these themes better with a set of framework, with a set of KPIs, to look at each of them in detail, you will face challenges while you are on your RPA journey. Now, if you look at some of them, for example, absence of an overall framework. Now, that's an important and key requirement from a strategic perspective, from a vision perspective. You really need to know where you need to go. So that's the challenge. And unless you tie all these metrics together, create a holistic framework which covers all these aspects and looks at each of those aspects in detail by giving you a way to measure them. That was our motivation. That was our key motivation in really looking at a framework which could help. There are certain enablers here as well, Abhishek. What are your thoughts on the enablers?
Yeah, there are a lot of enablers, as you said, the everyday enablers, the project management, the people and the technology, which form the base of your key enablers, where you also face a lot of challenges. The technology that you're going to shortlist. What is the utilization of the bots? How many licenses would I need? How many resources would I need? And am I using the resources in an efficient way? What is my vendor output or my throughput? There are challenges that we face on a daily basis that we hear from the customers throughout the enablers, that is managing the program with the technology and also driving the people and the change management. We do see these kind of challenges have an impact in terms of delivering it. The go-to-market could be delayed. The benefits could be delayed. There are multiple impacts from these challenges that could be evolving.
Yes, definitely it impacts, and there are long-term impacts to this. There could be short-term impacts as well. So the long-term impacts are the ones that you need to be wary about, because you could have an impact on your financial health. It could impact your customer satisfaction scores. It could impact your internal employee motivation as well. So these challenges really, if you don't look at them or you don't govern them better, this will lead to failure of your RPA program itself.
So this is where the key question raises. How do we manage?
Yeah.
How do we manage this new age technology with this huge potential?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that was our motivation, right, Abhishek? So I think the motivation here was, how do we create a framework which addresses these challenges? At the same time, it's not something that's new, or it's not something that's not been tried and tested before. So we really tried to go back. So we went back, searched through multiple frameworks, did our homework at our end to really find out what is it that could really help here. And that's when we kind of went back to the basics, try to by not reinventing the wheel itself, we went back to the balanced scorecard, because that is a framework which is acceptable, which organizations understand. And I think Peter Drucker did make sense, and he's relevant even now, when he says that you can't manage what you can't measure. Unless you put a framework in place, unless you know where you're headed and you're not tracking your overall growth towards that trajectory, I think it's difficult for you to survive. And that was our motivation. That's what Egg does on, and that's when we thought about, is there a way to make the balanced scorecard itself aligned to the new way of working with RPA? So that is where we try to look at a framework which brings together all these challenges and addresses them by using certain KPIs.
Thanks, Sairam. I think that was the one which drove our motivation. Mm-hmm. So we went further. The balanced scorecard is a strategic tool which businesses use to execute multiple programs. What we did is we customized this tool so that it will address the current situation in place. We have seen challenges. We have seen the multiple sources of these challenges. We thought of what are those metrics that can help our enterprises and businesses that can be put up in a framework which will give them a holistic view. So what Balanced Scorecard offers is, as you can see on the right side, those are your key enablers. The people and the change management, which has your long-term drivers around building the skill set in-house, driving the change management throughout the organization. So that gives you all the KPIs which offers you a sense of driving your change management, effectiveness of your change management. As I move up, how do I manage my program every day? From shortlisting the technology from maintaining a vendor and to go-to-market strategy, and when do I go live. These are two key enablers which will drive my short-term and long-term success of my RPA program. Not stopping there, which a lot of us majorly focus on, which is basically the financial benefit, the cost benefits, and the effort benefits that are going to come to the table. And the customer, what is the quality development that we can offer to our customer in short. This framework does not neglect any aspiration would see. This is something which I would really appreciate if I have on day one, because the first question my customer would ask on day one is, what is the benefit that I would get? But after 2 years, the same customer would ask me, how can I expand this solution? How do I drive my change management? That's where I think we thought this framework combines your short-term, long-term enablers to your immediate benefits that every organization looks at.
Yeah, Abhishek, I think that is a valid point. And I think the way we looked at it is that there are 4 perspectives to this. So if you look, there is a financial impact to it, which is what every business would be after to improve their financial health. There is a customer impact. This could be internal or external. Your employees' morale, which is the whole people and change management aspect. How do I make my workforce ready for this whole change that is coming across? And how do I govern this better? What we went ahead was to expand each of these perspectives. So when we looked at the balanced scorecard itself, we went ahead with really creating a new set of KPIs which addresses each of those perspectives better. So this is really kind of to those perspectives, what they comprise of, and how can an organization measure these KPIs and see their growth itself. So what we have done is create a healthy list of KPIs here. Based on our implementations and our overall experience with automation technology, we have also created a set of target measures that people or the organizations need to look at to achieve. Now again, remember, this will vary from organization to organization, but we have tried to give a target measure that people could aspire towards. Now, what we thought was to make this really so that people can consume this information better, we just thought of picking up 2 of these key KPIs and show the real interlinkage between all these KPIs, how they interact with each other and what is the impact of one on another. So we want to talk about a couple of KPIs here which we'll take you through in detail so that you can understand this whole scorecard better and how this can actually help you in your journey.
I think, Sairam, it would be interesting if we focus on the enablers part of it, which is generally ignored.
Yes.
Can we talk about something from the program management and the people and change management?
Yes, absolutely, Abhishek. I think we should cover probably 1 KPI each from that metric, and that is exactly what we want to do. So the first one that I do want to cover here is called the Automation Velocity Index, or also called as the Enterprise Automation. Now, what we want to do here, and what was again our motivation to include this as one of the key KPIs. The whole reasoning was there is a challenge that we have heard from customers on how do I evaluate a program or an automation program against another. How do I make sure that it's not full of risk? How do I make sure that these programs are being evaluated at the same kind of a level? So basically we went about creating a metric to really look at each of these automation programs, breaking them down to chunks of small programs and evaluating effectiveness or the speed to market of each of these programs itself. So we put together a weighted average score of these automation programs together, and the way we calculated them was based on simple, medium, and complex processes. So assuming that for an organization, it takes them 2 to 3 weeks to implement a simple process, assuming it takes 4 weeks for a medium process, and probably anywhere around 6 to 8 weeks for a complex process. we try to really create an overall speed or velocity for that whole automation program for the enterprise. And then what we can pit is each of the program we can probably verify their effectiveness against each other and come to an overall average index for the whole of the enterprise. Now, naturally, there will be a number that the organization will aspire towards, and the velocity would mean that the lower the better, so that you have speed to implement these programs is much quicker.
So interesting, Sairam, actually. Seeing the table, I can quickly see that the program 4, you have marked it in red,
Yep.
and it is showing 2.14.
Yeah.
What exactly it signifies, and how can I address that?
Yeah. So what it signifies is that the organization itself is aspiring to be towards an average score of 1.86 of a velocity index. But the 2.14 is definitely higher. What it means is this program is definitely something that needs higher attention. Now, again, no way do you need to discount that completely, saying that this is not a program that I should go ahead with, because it could be that your benefits out of this program might outweigh the speed delay or the delay in speed to market of that particular program. So you need to really be creative here. For example, this map actually tells you there are some programs which are much faster than your actual average, the automation program 1 and program 3. Maybe you could actually get some resourcing out of those programs, plug them into automation program 4 to really make that see light of the day as well. So I think this map itself gives you that complete visibility to compare programs against each other and see their effectiveness and also see their risk.
That is an interesting point where you said the effort from one place can be moved into places where you see a bottleneck.
Absolutely.
That is quite an interesting point, Sairam.
Yeah. So moving on, I think Abhishek, you can cover the automation adoption KPI better for us.
Yeah. So we were talking about the people and change management from the start of the framework, even as a part of our motivation. How do you even assess that your automation or your bots are being used and accepted by your employees as the way you want it? So the metric that we have used here is how many interactions that the team is having with the bots, how many automations are being triggered by your team, and how many handovers are being done successfully. This basically gives you the flavor of what is the acceptance of automation and what is the success of your augmented automation. At the end of the day, it is humans and bots who are enabling the humans to perform activities faster. What we did is we relatively scored your team in comparison with the champion. A champion is one who is using the tool to the utmost potential. The highest usage of automation, doing the most number of handovers, and basically reaping the benefits out of automation. So what we are doing is we are relatively comparing your team with your highest user, who is your champion, and showing the potential that your entire team can achieve. What we are trying to say is, if your teams are within 70 to 100% in comparison with your champions, then that shows that your team is entirely doing well, and you can actually motivate them further to reach to the 90 and 100%. If you see this graph, one of the teams is not even up to 40 to 30%, which means even if your process is well automated, even if the technology underlying is well stable and sufficient, your benefits will be lower than you expect. Your business case will never stack up, because at the last mile delivery, it is the humans who decide the usage of it. So it clearly highlights to compare and also highlight what is that working in the team that is having a higher adoption and moving towards the positive benefits to an organization, to a group which is actually a bit reluctant or resistant towards this. So it clearly draws those lines to categorize and segment people, and also derive learnings from one group and incorporate into the other.
Yeah. So what we have seen is clearly two KPIs which we have gone into some detail with. But again, remember that the balanced scorecard is a set of KPIs or metrics which are all interlinked, and that can really tell you a holistic health or a health check of your overall RPA program, where you're headed, how are you governing it, and what are the risks that you're carrying along with those programs. At the same time, it does give you a complete picture and an outcome, kind of gives you the driver. It's kind of like a driver towards your reaching your outcomes. Now, what we also thought was to really highlight whom is this applicable, right, within an organization. So we've talked a lot about the scorecard itself. We talked a lot about some of those KPIs and details about them. But then, who can actually benefit from this? So again, what we have, the way we have created this overall framework itself is that, we have tried to keep everybody in the picture. So we have something for stakeholders across the enterprise itself. So it will be equally important for from a business strategy standpoint. So it will be applicable for C-level executives to really look at their business case, to really see if the processes they have selected are the right ones, if what they have called out as the business case, will they really reap that benefit at all. At the same time, it gives the business and the process heads a way to measure effectiveness of their RPA programs itself, a way to set up a strategy to create the next workforce, or the workforce which is augmented with automation. It gives the program managers a set of KPIs. We saw one of them, which is the velocity index. How do they stack up the health of each of the programs? How do they really view all their enablers in one go? And at the same time, I think you have the support function, which is change management, communication. How do you communicate this better to the employees? How do people realize this benefit? And how do they, really come together to deliver a successful RPA program? So that, in a nutshell, covers, multiple stakeholders, and it is applicable to, all these roles in an organization.
So saying the of the balanced scorecard, we really want to highlight, though we didn't talk about some of the KPIs like bot utilization, the quality of bot, which are basically standard. You will find them as a part of the larger balanced scorecard. But what we totally believe is this has to be tailored to start working as a strategic tool for the enterprise, based on the industry, based on the domain, and based on your key vision for the next 2 to 3 years. These 3 major parameters would decide to tailor this balanced scorecard so that you can put this framework in action from day one to track and manage your program. So this need a little bit of tailoring. This need a bit of tweaking in between the KPIs. And also, this is something can be used for organizations which are starting their RPA journey, or which are in midway of an RPA journey, or at an industrialization phase. For example, if you're starting your RPA journey, all the KPIs might not be significant from day one. You might only focus on the financial impact and the customer impact. But as you progress, you try to add program management, and you try to add more people and change management. So your scorecard would evolve with you throughout the journey, but this can throw a large flexibility for the organizations to be usable. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Abhishek. This is Sairam here again. Thanks a lot for listening to this webinar. We had really a good time sharing our insights with all of you. Hopefully, you had a nice time interacting with us as well. Thanks. This is Sairam and Abhishek signing off from Assist Edge EdgeVerve.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen, because in my conversations with corporate practitioners, no matter where they are on the journey, the question of the day, the question of the moment is, how do I dashboard this? How do I scorecard this? How can I show what I'm doing? So this past 30 minutes has been lightning as far as that is concerned. We will now move into
the interactive
portion. The question to
we
you,
certainly would like for you, please,
is what would you like to do?
Go ahead
now?
and fill out the survey. What would you like to do now? There's
survey
only,
widget and choose
three
one.
options. It's really one question. It's not even three questions. Please go ahead and fill that out
demo or
participating.
speak with an RPA
as far as
expert.
Q&A is concerned,
one of
based
those
on time
options
constraints,
now.
what we're going to do is have the
A,
folks
but as far as the
back,
presentation portion
one-on-one. So you will receive an email from EdgeVerve following this webinar
listening and now time
with instruction on what to do and or requests on what to do, what you'd like to do, and some of that can be one-to-one direct feedback, just like it says in the survey. So again, please answer that survey question. Just to let you know what questions will be answered if you do want to hear the answers from EdgeVerve. Is there a way to get slides? Yes, of course. There's a way to get the slides that has come up a couple of times. But as far as specifics, do people understand the complexity involved with RPA systems and the initial results? Great question. Do you have a guide or tool for selecting which processes should first be automated? Another good question. Some programs, some intelligent automation programs do come with management buy-in, do come with the blessing from above. That in and of itself might be fraught with danger. However, his question is, how do you get management buy-in for automation? What are key mistakes? Another question, what are key mistakes when companies implement RPA? Again, as I mentioned at the top here, as far as the biggest things that I'm hearing from corporate enterprise practitioners, number one, how do I, benchmark? How do I dashboard? How do I scorecard, if you will? And then the part and parcel, how do I best scale up? So all of those questions will be answered by EdgeVerve directly to you if you so choose to reach out. Again, please go ahead and fill out that survey question, one quick survey question, and then reply to the email that you receive. Having said all of that, as far as our business here, it is done. Thank you so much for participating in this webinar. Check back with us down the line. We will have another one to you soon.